Hey everybody, this is Up and Atom Comics, and today I thought I'd do a little bit of a different video, just talking about Comic-Cons in general, HeroesCon in specific, and some of my thoughts about some of the different ways that I prepare for these things within a con, and also what I'm a little bit hoping to do at HeroesCon. Um, I thought what would be good is kind of like share some tips. I know there's a lot of people that this is their Heroes Con's a very big con, but even if you haven't been to another Comic Con, they might vary a little bit with how some of these featured. Um, but what I thought I would, all of these elements within a con are kind of parts of it. It could just be varying degrees of what's available to you. What I thought I would do is just kind of go over some different categories here and kind of talk through it. First off, in preparing for a con, I'm going to assume like you have tickets, you have your lodging. So we're not going to really go over a lot of that, except for lodging. Sometimes it is good to look at some things outside of the normal host hotel. So my experience has been host hotels for any kind of conventions, and I do a lot of work travel and get to go to conferences and things like that. And it's true there a little bit too. Sometimes the host hotels do charge a premium a little bit with availability for that con, and then they have like a con discounted rate that still might be higher than what you would pay if you were just visiting that area in a normal circumstance. I have a sister-in-law who works for Marriott, and they have like friends and family discounts and things like that. And she was talking a little bit to me about how like, hey, if they know there's a convention coming along, they usually have premium prices for some of these times, and it gets so they're playing a little bit of a game with that. So one thing that I like to do, if you are comfortable in doing that, is kind of looking at maybe not staying at the host hotel. Sometimes you can find some good deals outside of the main venue that aren't terribly far away. For me, I typically realize like Airbnb and VRBO and some of those kind of things, they work for me. Sometimes, especially if you have some people that you're going with, you can often get a good price over the same amount of time that you would have for con, which gives you more money to spend on comics and the other things at the con. Um, and that is actually what I'm doing this year for Heroes Con. I am getting an Airbnb, staying. It's now it's a little bit outside. We're staying about 20 minutes away, but I'm staying with Johnny. Johnny's comic stuff. He'll be he'll be staying there. So we got an Airbnb, which is like a condo, um, and it is gonna for 3 nights. The total price of it was like $520 or something like that for a total of 3 nights. And we're splitting that down the middle. For like $260, I think it is, I get 3 nights of lodging. And, we get a kitchen, we get a living room, we get our own bedroom with our own bed and own bathroom and things like that. So it's definitely, in my opinion, worth it to me. When you're looking at kind of, uh, you know, at the host hotel for HeroesCon is the Westin, you're probably looking at, when all taxes and things like that are considered, probably going to get close to like $1,000 for the weekend. So definitely getting a good deal with that. But moving on, we're going to talk about like things that I like to bring for cons, and sometimes. Um, Outside food and water and things like that are sometimes frowned upon, and sometimes at a lot of cons they do not let you bring any of that stuff in. At Heroes Con, never had a problem with bringing in water. I've usually had snacks and things like that. And that's perfectly fine. They do sell food inside the venue, which is nice. Not the best of food, but they do have some, kind of um, set up vendors there that are part of the convention that you can do. And so that's definitely doable. But sometimes I like to just get a snack. You might be standing in line for a while, and it's good to have something so that you're not like hangry when you're approaching like a comic creator or something like that. So I have back issues and not just of the comic variety. I have I have like kind of a bad spine that I've kind of grown up with. Also played sports when I was a kid and things like that. So I took it took its toll. But standing on hard concrete floors absolutely kills me. And so I know if I don't take care of that, I'm probably going to be hurting and in a lot of pain anyway, but it could be worse if I didn't try to bring along a few things for me. So the biggest thing, I have no shame about trying to take care of myself. So one thing, a lot of people will bring a backpack and they'll fill it up with comics and do that kind of thing. That would destroy me. So one thing that I started doing several years ago was to bring a cart, and I have a retractable, metal cart with wheels on it, um, and I can put a short box on that cart, and also an art portfolio, and kind of keep them with me, and then it's easy for me to kind of move around and I do have to drag that around, which could be kind of annoying, but typically it helps me just to keep the weight off of my back so that I'm not like lugging the heavy amounts of comics on my back. Those little paper things end up adding up a lot for weight and just uncomfortability, I guess, or discomfort, I guess I should say, discomfort, through a long day of standing in lines or on concrete flooring. Hopefully that will help. So I always bring a cart and put those things on it. It's kind of helpful so that it the only limits that I have is the limits of what's in my short box or the amount of room in my short box. So if I'm getting some back issues or I'm getting some other things that I wasn't expecting, I can put them in there, either in my portfolio or in the short box, and that'll be great. And so I do that. The other thing for my back, especially, is I bring a chair. So I do a lot of backpacking, and I found this thing weighs about a pound. I can actually put it inside my short box. Um, and if I'm in a line, so if I'm going to be standing in a long line, I'll whip this bad boy out. So it has some like um, uh, ways to, connect into a chair. And this is kind of an interesting chair because it doesn't have full legs. So what you do is you kind of sit on it, and you use your balance on it to put your feet down. But the nice thing is it has like a full back support that comes up, to the top of my back, which is great. So I can kind of relieve that pressure and feel good. So it's very low to the ground. So it almost looks like I'm sitting on the ground, but I'm not, and I'm actually giving some back support. So I will usually, if I feel like I'm going to be in a line, so a big popular creator that has a long line that I know it's like, hey, I'm going to be standing. I would be standing in this for like half an hour or longer. I'm whipping out the chair, and I can move that little chair along and rebalance myself, and as the line gets moving. But that's kind of my tip. So if you have anything or you just don't want to stand for all day, pick yourself up a little chair. I know Rich from Big Nasty, he talks about he has this great like cane thing that has a chair built into it. So he can sit down on that, so there's lots of little things. If you do go to a backpacking store or like an outdoor store, they do have some great resources. And the thing that I like about especially using these backpacking things, is this weighs under a pound. So it's very light, and also can, you can fit it. And they make some even smaller ones that'll be like the size of a water bottle and things like that. But this one gives me a lot of back support, so I don't mind having a little bit of a bigger, um, system for how that works. But anyway, a little tip for that. Now, moving along, I also from essential. So now we're going to go into things to do at the con, and there's some different categories for what a lot of people like to do. One thing that's very popular for getting in line to meet different creators is to get signatures on your books. And so I also have, and it's kind of interesting, my priorities have changed a little bit over the years and in going to different cons. I do have a lot of books signed, and I do have a lot of books signed. Um, by different creators throughout the years. And so, and usually I try to get books signed, not necessarily all the time for the significance of who that creator is or if it is a key, but it's something like means a little bit to me. There will definitely be some keys that I will try to get signed, but for a lot of times, it's for me is like trying to get something a little bit more personal that a comic that I really liked, which can be a key sometimes, but something that I like and something that I appreciated out of the creator that was doing it. So, with signatures, one thing that's very important, I think, is to um, look at trying to get as organized as possible. Get your priorities straight in your head with going into a con and what you hope to accomplish. And so, with that, I thought, since we're talking, quite a bit about HeroesCon, what I thought I would do is share a little bit about how HeroesCon works and the creators, and it'll tie into everything that we're going to talk about coming up. So HeroesCon has an amazing site. Well, it's a site built like in the 1990s that still uses that same technology, I think, as you can see. But you can see all these creators that are listed here, and it gets insane with how many people are actually going to be there. So, one thing, and most cons will do this beforehand, which is great. They'll put a list of the creators that are actually going to be there and their booth number of where they're going to be. And sometimes this is you don't really know that until you get like a program when you're standing in line and different things like that. Heroes is great that they will give all that information in advance, and you can actually get a PDF that you can download to find out. And when you zoom in, you can actually find out where all these people are. So, for example, we have, um, in this line, you're going to see Tula Lote, Jake Smith, and Dave Wachter. And then around the corner will be Kelly Williams, John Lucas. So you can kind of figure out where you are, and then try to get a guess on where everybody else is going to be. So this can kind of help you prepare a little bit in advance for where you want to hit up first, or while I'm in this area, let me try to hit up a whole bunch of people. Like this one has like Jim Starlin's going to be here. Right around the corner will be Daryl Banks, Yuko Smith. You got Mustafa Musa, Dan Needlinger, Ralph Macchio, Keith Williams, Al Milgram. They're all going to be in like this little square, so you can kind of go around. And if there's different people that you want to meet in there, you can do that, or you can go just shoot right down the aisle, that kind of thing. So this is a wonderful thing. And so a lot of times, what I will do in advance is zoom in and kind of print out some of these things and kind of highlight it so that I know where I'm actually going to be physically and who I need to try to hit up for different things. So I do a little bit of that, of creating that map and the highlighting of all of that. But as I was showing, I should have I shouldn't have closed that that window completely. And let's open that up again. Um, So HeroesCon does have like I said, a big guest list, and on here it has all the names, everything of who is going to be there, and you can see the heroes list is absolutely insane with number of people that they invite. These are all creators. They also have an indie island, which has a few independent artists that they have in a little grouping that they'll put together. Um, but their guest list is, absolutely insane. So I feel like it is very helpful to to get a little organization done with that. So for signatures, one thing that I like to do is I use my CLZ app, um, and uh, if you're on CLZ, you probably know how to do this, but you can sort all of your comics that you have, and you can sort it by creators. Let me see if that'll focus a little bit. Sorry, I got some lighting on here. Maybe I'll take that off. Um, but you can see I can sort all the comics that I have and who is actually how many I have, and I can use that to kind of check against. Um, the creator list and try to see what I want to potentially get signed. And I say potentially because sometimes I don't go in and think this is exactly what I want to get signed, um, and that type of thing because there's a price that's related with all of these things. And so I kind of have a budget in mind for what I would like to spend on getting signatures. And so, as I said, sometimes my ideas have shifted over the years. So I'm a little less interested in signatures than I used to be. But all that being said, I kind of created like within my short box here. I have a list of potential books that I might get signed if the need arises. And one thing that I do have, just to give you an idea, um, is so this I put a sticky note on every book with who I want to get it signed and their booth number. And so this is Daniel Warren Johnson. He is going to be there. So I put a little DWJ on there. And I have his booth number on my post-it note here. And so I know exactly if where I'm going to actually get him signed. Now, I did this. This is kind of a first for me. Usually, I kind of just bring exactly what I want to get signed. Um, but this time, I was like, there's some things I don't know. Like for Daniel Warren Johnson, they have not posted a price list or how many books that he will allow you to get signed at once. So, and he usually does some for free. So I don't know what that number is. So I'm kind of preparing. I believe, yeah, I have five total things that I might potentially get signed by Daniel Warren Johnson. I know he has done some like up to five for free. And so I usually try to stick with the free amounts if I can. Um, but I color coded the thing so that if I have a yellow post-it note on it, it's a higher priority for me. But if I have a blue post-it note, and this is the Absolute Batman annual, this was a fun issue and had all of that, you know, uh, uh, Batman versus the Klan kind of stuff in here. And so this is like a secondary one. So it may not be something I feel I have to get, I really want to get signed for myself. But something like, hey, if it's still free or in that price range or something that I do have money and I do want to spend on it, I'll go ahead and get that one signed as well. So yes, I am prioritizing Murder Falcon over the Absolute Batman Annual, just because that's something that I loved Murder Falcon. It's a great series. So in my little box here, and I have a whole bunch of stuff that's here for other people too, but in my box, I have these all organized by last name. There's a couple things in here that I have multiple people to potentially get signed. So I'm trying to find an example of that. But if it's a book that, well, here's one. Absolute Green Arrow #1 just came out. Really loved it. I got Raphael Albuquerque signed that there. But this is a Tula Lote cover, and I know she does a couple of them for free, so I might as well get that signed. And then Pornsak Peachit is actually going to be there too, Friday and Saturday. So I have like two names on here, and this is like a little bit of a higher priority for me. So that's kind of how I have books signed, kind of formatted in there. Um, and so I do have a little stack of that type of stuff. One other thing that I started doing a while back, and I know a lot of people like to do these, um, like a comic or something like that, like Lunch Money Comics Mike has that. Uh, uh, Heroes for Hunger, I think it might not be the right the right title. There's a DC one and a Marvel one. Heroes for Hope, that's what it was. He's trying to get signed by every single person that actually contributed to that. There's some people that like to get a book signed with anybody that was involved with that character, or take a blank or do something like that and try to get that done. But one of the things that I started doing when this came out is I have this Kickstarter that's Bernie Wrightson, and it is a tribute to Bernie Wrightson. And so there were a lot of writers and artists that contributed pieces for this. And you can see, like, they all kind of took ideas from Bernie Wrightson and they decided to do something themselves. So, what I have done in this is looked at all the contributors, and I'm trying to get a lot of them to sign it. And one thing that I think will be cool is it'll give me a chance to actually talk to, like have like a subject matter a little bit to talk to some of the artists about their contribution and what they think of Bernie Wrightson, because he's definitely one of my favorite artists that I've ever come across. But this is an example. Like I got Bill Morrison, who does a lot of Simpsons stuff. He signed his piece for that for me. I have some people that have done like a little remark inside, just like a little doodle or something in there as a bonus. But this is kind of a cool book to get different people that have contributed to sign to this. So I also have a little list of people and their booth numbers of that contributed in here that I do not have signatures from, that I'm thinking about trying to get them to sign this book. So that's definitely something that is on my list. Um, so with signatures, I was talking about how things can get a little pricey with that. And so one thing that I absolutely love about HeroesCon is just on their main page. Um, they have a place to get tickets. But one thing that's really cool is they do a creator price list. So you can actually see, like Dave Aikens, it put down here, all of his signatures are free. Sketches, these are the different ones that I do. And so there's a lot of artists, like Kari Andrews is going to be there. Costs $10 for a raw signature if it's witnessed. For slabbing, it's going to be $20, and little remarks are $50. So all of these artists have actually or creators have contributed information back to the con about what they're planning on charging. And some of these, I mean, most of this is true. They do have the right to change that before they come and that type of thing, which is perfectly fine. But it definitely helps plan out to budget, or knowing like, hey, they'll do this for free or with a donation to the Heroes Initiative or whatever charity that they're doing for that they'll do signatures for, and it kind of helps prepare you in advance for that. I have not seen other cons do this type of thing. It's a glorious idea, really helps us for those that are trying to do this on a budget to try to figure that out. Um, so in signatures, typically, and if you have not, one thing that I usually try to advise people for signatures is typically not do more than five, if possible, to try to not do five at a time. So if there is no limit, some artists I saw like Chris Claremont, creator for X-Men that he's known for primarily. Chris Claremont has a limit that he's posted. He's like, I will only do this number of books per person. If you need more than that, you can schedule a time with this person and we'll see if we can make it work out. Um, but if you have five or less books, you're probably not going to get any bad looks from people in line. You're also not going to get bad looks from creators. I have been to cons. My very first con that I went to, um, I remember being in line behind somebody for Mark Bagley, and they had a stack of comics that they dropped down, and Mark just kind of gave him a look like, "No, we're not doing that," because he had a line, he had a lot of people in it. He wanted to move people through, and he also thought, "Hey, this person might be a flipper, a person that's gonna like take these books, try to sell them online. I'm not gonna get money for them, that type of thing." So I would say if you're taking five or less, it is perfectly fine. Some people I will just have one book because that's all I really care about is this one book for that person. So kind of keep that in mind when you're thinking about that. There there has been a guy I kind of dread seeing him. I know he's always there at HeroesCon. He brings along a cart that's filled with short boxes. He might have like six or eight on his cart. And sometimes that short box is a complete, like, let's say I've been there behind him for Chris Claremont, and he had an entire short box for Chris Claremont. And I was like, oh my gosh, you just hate getting behind somebody like that. So, uh, and sometimes the creators are great about it. Like they'll say, hey, I'm only doing a few at a time. We're gonna, weed some of these other people here. And then some people will just sit there and sign an entire short box at once, just holding up the line, and everybody's like hating on that person, right? So, now I have talked to this guy because I've been in line with him a few times, and now I have to give him a little bit of props because he is not a flipper at all. He is trying to get all of his books that he owns signed by as many creators as he can, and he spends a lot of money. I remember at the Chris Claremont line, he handled a few $1,000s to Chris Claremont and was like, "This is for all of these books." And so crazy. But if that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do. So, but I do try to get a little plan together. So I have some things that I'm going to try to get signed. Like I said, the Bernie Wrightson thing. I also have some other creators, some a little higher priority. Daniel Warren Johnson is one of those. It's a priority for me because I have not gotten him to sign anything before. So he's a little high on my list to try to get some signatures from because I do really love his work. He's doing some great things for the books that he's working on and has been working on the last few years. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. Now, moving on, the next thing to consider is if you are doing any panels, and there's kind of a lot at cons will have a some type of uh, panels that are going on during the con. And so, what I thought I'd do, I'll share a little bit with what Heroes has in line. So they have um, programming that starts right when the doors open, basic puppet making techniques. They also have things for different creators. like Friday at 2, Walt Simonson's going to be talking with Michael Fief, I'm going to say. I'm not sure if that's exactly how to pronounce his name. But he's going to be talking a lot about his stuff. Now, one thing, like, so some of these panels could be kind of cool. I will typically not do that on the first day of a con, but I might do some of that later during the week if I have time, if I have a break, if I just want a break and want to sit down and just chill, and or if it's a person that I really like to see what they're doing, I might go check out a panel. Um, uh, what's interesting about some of these panels. It's not the case usually for HeroesCon, but it's some of the things like New York Comic Con, San Diego, some of those bigger cons will be like, hey, go to this thing, and at the end you can actually get your own exclusive comic if you stay to the end and that type of thing. I don't usually do that. I don't know if I ever would do that. Just to that would be the reason why I would go to the panel if it's something cool that I want to see. Yes, but otherwise, I don't do it. So I don't usually spend a lot of times at panels. I might check out one or two if it's of interest, or I might start like, hey, if I'm not doing anything, this might be something to go check out. But mostly I'm hustling and bustling around the con floor to kind of see what's going on. The good thing about seeing a panel schedule, and a lot of the cons will put those up in advance, is if there was something like Walt Simonson, is going to be at a panel at 2 o'clock, he's not going to be at his table. So there are a couple of strategies that you can use around that. Either like to know, like, hey, I have to get there before this time because he's probably leaving about 1:30 to 1:45 to get to that 2 o'clock panel. So I need to kind of plan that out in terms of when I might get something based on what his line looks like. But one thing that I have used is if it's a creator that I do want to get something signed for, I see that they're at a panel from 2 to 3. I might go around 2:30 and stand in their line until they get back. So if they get back around 3:15 or so, I might be the first or early in that line to actually get some stuff signed. So it's kind of a good little tip to try to take advantage of if you can. So that's a little bit about panels, and some like little strategies around that. Right now, I have not looked at the panel schedule. I haven't seen anything that's like, whoa, I really need to go. So I really don't have any plans for that to try to attend, but we'll see as the mood strikes how that goes. The next thing to talk about is getting original art from creators. And I this is probably my top goal at HeroesCon, and has been a shift in my mentality for how what I want to collect. I There's not a ton of books that are really on my want list anymore. I have a ton of comics, but I have most of what I am after. There are some runs, some different things that I'm working on, but typically I know that probably one extra long box of back issues, I'll have everything that I will probably have wanted. And so that becomes a little bit less of a goal to get actual back issues for me. So I have moved heavily to get like one of one, sorry, original art. And so I have a few different things that I'm planning for that. And with a con, typically, if it's a multi-day con, that first day is when you really want to go to try to get some things worked up, if you want to. It is best if you have my my 100% belief is that if you can arrange with the creator in advance to get an art piece done, that is best. So if you want, uh, you know, Art Adams, not that he's won't do this, but Art Adams to do an 11 by 17 of Wolverine and to bring it there with him to the con for you to pick up. There's ways you can contact him and try to see if that's an option. They'll give you pricing. Usually you pay that in advance, um, through whatever means that they have. But what I have always found is if you do that in advance, the artist definitely feels a lot less pressure to try to get that done during a short window at a con. So I have not done that this year per se. I have reached out to a few people like, hey, would you be willing to do this? What would you charge? And that type of thing. Um, but a lot of times, I have arranged for something in advance, and I have found the quality of what you get back is so much better because they have the time to work on it and less pressure. Some of these artists will typically only they'll have a limit of a list of what they can get accomplished that they know during a con. Um, so sometimes is they're trying to do that while they're at their table for the weekend. And then sometimes it's, I'm going to take these back to my hotel room or whatever and try to get them done during the off times of the con. So I know some of the creators that will like stay up till 2 or 3 a.m. trying to get a lot of the commissions that they've taken in done before the next day, and then they're tired. I don't know how they do it. So I'm impressed that some of these people can pump out a lot of work, and I know it's faster for a lot of them, and they don't have to spend a ton of time, but definitely, if you're thinking about getting a sketch done, try to do it on the Friday, and let them know if you're not staying all the time, or hey, I'd like to leave by this time if that's possible, and they could probably let you know if they can do it or not. An example last year, or no, 2 years ago at Heroes, I wanted to get a piece from Ron Lim. Now I was only there for one day, so I let him know. I was like, "Hey, I'm only here today, so if I could get this and then take it by the end of the day, that would be great." He was like, "Oh yeah, sure, I can get that done for you." He texted me when he was done, which was wonderful. But otherwise, and I think he actually put me on a higher priority because he knew I was only there for one day. And I wouldn't say don't lie to these people, don't tell them you're only here for one day and try to get it right away. But just be upfront and honest with them about what you would like, and they'll let you know if they can do that or not. Um, so that was something that I worked out because but I did that on the one day that I was there. But typically, if you can arrange for some things on Friday, a lot of people that come in on a Saturday con, or if it's a Saturday Sunday con and they come in on Sunday, a lot of times you go to an artist and then they might say, "Hey, I'm booked up. I don't have any more time." So typically, what you find a lot of these first day for cons for big creator cons, a lot of people will try to hit those people up on Friday. So definitely good advice. Go in with a mindset of who you need to get done first. Make them your priority. Kind of get organized in there about how you want to do that, um, and kind of work it out that way. Now, for me uh, with my goals for this year at HeroesCon, I am not trying to get a lot of big pieces done. I probably would have, if there was something I was going to try to get a big piece of, I would try to contact that artist ahead of time and see, to do that. But a lot of what I'm doing is I'm bringing some blank comics down to try to get. Potentials just to have. So like I have a Moon Knight blank, and if you're not familiar with blank covers, they do sell these. Occasionally, some of the variants would be a blank cover, and the artist can do the front, sometimes front and back, depending on what you want to do. And you can get some different things done by the creators on here. And so I have like a little stack of blanks that I will bring just as I see somebody and I see that they're affordable, I see that they have time. Uh, I might try to get some of that done. I have a couple of people that I've reached out to that I think will be able to do something for me with things that I've planned. So that's great. Another thing with sketches that you can do is you can do something like what I've done, and I've shown these off a few times, but I have these jam pieces that I've been working on. I have one for a Fantastic Four. There are members of the Fantastic Four, and then I have one that is villains. And so I've gotten different artists over the last several years to kind of work on little pieces of this. I've also set this up with a friend of mine who goes to New York Comic Con. He's gotten like this is Carla Cohen and Lucio Perillo. I've never seen them at a con, but they come to New York, and so I usually get I might send him up with a blank or something like, hey, if you can get this person to do this and you have time and it works out, great. So my friend Jimmy, if he ever happens to watch this, I really appreciate you. So anyway, so I have two pieces on the back here that I'm hoping to finish at HeroesCon. And so, as these are the members, I'm still trying to get a Luke Cage. He had a brief stint with the Fantastic Four. Um, I'd like to get a Luke Cage, and then I'm also looking at a She Thing, Sharon Ventura, Miss Marvel at one point. I'm going to try to get them on there to finish this one off. I might do something with the emblem. I can't decide if it's going to be myself or if I want to get a creator to do the four in there. I have an idea for that as well. But this is something that I'm going to try to do. And the villains, I have a couple of spaces left on that one as well. So that those this is my probably top priority is to try to get these little four blocks finished. So what'll happen if you're thinking about doing a jam piece like something like this? Um, is try to figure out which ones are going to be really tough to do or have to take a long time and try to get those knocked out. And so typically what I would do is I'd drop this off and like for Gus Mock, he was like, oh, I could do that right here, right now for you. Just that's fine. Some of them will say, hey, drop it off. Come by a little later, or someone will text you and just tell you when they're done, and then you can move it on to the next person. And so usually when I'm taking this to an artist, Ben Templesmith did this Galactus for me. Um, he said, "Yeah, would it be okay?" If I just take this home with, or take this tonight to work on, he did some watercolor stuff. So he wants some stuff to dry to be able to then pencil or ink on top of that. And so I was like, yeah, sure. He's like, well, I'll have it done. You can come by first thing tomorrow, pick it up to give it to the next person. So that's definitely something to look out for. Just find out the timing of that. You don't want to, if you're trying to do a jam piece, you don't want it held hostage and keeps you from getting other stuff done. So talk to them about it, or they say, "Hey, I would need it overnight." I might say like, "Oh, I might try to get this other person to do something for you, but I'll be back." And so most people are pretty agreeable to that. They know what you're doing. There are some artists that really hate to do jam pieces, so I will put that out because um, some of them hate doing these things because they feel the pressure of turning them around quickly. Um, or it's something like they're limited with where they could put something in. So I kind of just made these blocks and just said, hey, can you fill this block with this person? I also recommend for anybody trying to get sketches done is try to bring an example of what that character looks like. So, for example, as I mentioned, I'm going to try to get Miss Marvel She Thing done on the back here. Uh, I know a lot of, I don't want to end up with a Carol Danvers Miss Marvel on here. So I will bring like a couple of samples of like, hey, here's what this character looks like. I would bring them too because sometimes the internet gets busy and they can't connect to something. And so to their Wi-Fi. So try to bring out like a printed picture of something helps them out a lot. So for example, in Hyuk Lee, uh, doesn't speak the best English, and he was also wasn't fully sure of Medusa. So I had an image and I showed it to him. He's like, "Oh yeah, I know who that character is." Um, so David Mack did a mole man for me on here, and he was like, I gave him some options of different. villains. He's like, I'm not really sure, but he's like, I think I know who Mole Man is. He's that guy with the weird glasses, right? And I was like, yeah. So he did that for me. So it helps, especially if trying to get some obscure characters or ones that aren't like Spider-Man, Batman, those kind of things. Like a secondary one is try to give them a picture so they get an idea of like what that character looks like. So just a piece of advice. But yeah, I'm trying to get these done, and I have a few other blanks that I'm also going to try to get a few sketches on. And so that's a big priority for me during HeroesCon that's coming up next week. Also, I want to mention on that price list, as you saw some of the things, they listed, hey, I do this for a remark, this is for a head sketch, this is for a full body, this is for 11 by 17, this is for cover quality. Some of them put out some they will have some different price ranges for that. And so I usually like to show them like, hey, this is what I have. What does that cost? And so because some of them will call it a headshot, some of them will call it a remark, some of them might be something in between. So um, just a little piece of advice for that. Now, one thing that I did not mention was a little bit with my organization just overall. And so sometimes what I usually do for a con is I do a geeky little spreadsheet of all the things that I'm bringing with me or potentials. And so I have all the creators listed there, their booth number. I will keep a copy of this, usually like a printed out copy, in my pocket so that I can kind of work through the list and see what it is, more so than digging in and out of a short box and trying to figure out where I am. I'll usually bring this out with the map and try to make some plans with that. But because of this, I also have like a budget list of how much that all of that might cost. And I write some priorities on there so I can kind of get in my head a little bit about how to organize all this stuff, how to prioritize a little bit of it, and make sure that I'm getting the most out of the con experience that I can for productivity's sake, let's say. Um, so that's a little bit about how I do organization. Now, in terms of buying comics, I know I'm a firm believer, collect how you want to collect, do what you want to do. But what I have typically seen over the last few years is that prices at cons, especially for some like big books for big keys, that they tend to be, the prices tend to be a little higher than what you're expecting. I think some of that is uh, there has been a shift, especially with some newer collectors coming into the scene, COVID and after, that a lot of them are just going after keys. Uh, they're more of like character comic book collectors in some cases, or key significance collectors, more so than people that like to get a run and fully read a whole storyline. So, because of that, you typically find that there are not the best deals on key books. And so these will be all the things that'll be kind of on the wall behind all the creators that they have there in a lot of cases. And you'll see some jacked up prices for some of that, has been my experience. Um, so, uh, with that being said, a lot of them have other comics in long boxes and short boxes, and they will tend to deal a little bit better with the price for that on run fillers than they will on big wall books. So I would say going into a con, there's definitely times where for buying comics, like I've seen a price and I'm like, okay, that's fair price is what I'm going to pay. There are sometimes that I will try to, you know, weed them down a little bit, bargain a little bit with them to see like, hey, can you do any better on this? Or I have cash. Cash is king to bring to a con. If you have some cash, you can usually make a little bit better deal. Because if you have to do a credit card ring up, they're charged a price, a percentage of that cost. So if they can avoid that, they might be like, okay, yeah, it's $100, but I'll take 90 because if you're not, you're paying cash and I don't have to pay anything for a credit card fee. And maybe it's a little under the table. I'm not sure how they're doing that with their taxes, but anyway, Um, there is that. So uh, I usually and typically in a con, let's say it's a 3-day con, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Um, Friday, you're not going to find the best deals. Sunday, you will find the best deals because some of the all the people have to pack up their stuff and go. And so sometimes they are very willing to get rid of some things because it's like if I have a few less long boxes to carry home that are load into the truck, that's going to be a good thing. I have also known there are some people that just do rental trucks and so it's like if I can unload all of my stuff, I don't have to pay for the rental truck and I can actually, get out of here quicker. And so sometimes there's some dealers that are just willing to offload everything. And there's also dealers that will try to take advantage of those to pick up their stock so that they can resell it or whatever. So I've heard of those things kind of happening. But typically, on the Sunday, I think it's okay to offer like uh, 75% of the asking price just to see, like, hey, you have it for 100, would you take 75? And a lot of times they might say, sure, or could we do 80? Could we, haggle and that do that kind of thing? And so that's definitely Sunday's the best day to buy comics. Now you have the thought process of if there's one book and I want to see one copy of this at a con, this is the best priced one. Do you take the risk and wait until Sunday to try to get that, or do you get that right away? That's your own priorities with how you want to decide to do that. But typically, I don't buy a whole lot of stuff that first day, or but I will on the second day, maybe the third day especially. I'll try to get some different deals done that day. Now, my typical goal, like I said, because I'm not trying to get the biggest keys, I have a few books that I'm going to that are big keys for me that would cost a lot of money. I'm not trying to look for those at a con. I will try to find them through other means to get them because I feel like I can get a better price. But I do have a list of run filler books, and there might be some keys somewhat in there, but I do have some books that I'm kind of looking out for. Um, Specifically for me, I have a couple books left in a Man Thing Volume 1 run that I need, so I'm going to try to finish that one up. And then I also am going to try to go for some other Bronze Age Marvel horror, some Ghost Rider, maybe Tomb of Dracula, and some other different types of things that I might go after if I find a good price for them. So I'm kind of I usually will take part of the Saturday kind of looking around to see what is out there and what's available to actually maybe make a play on. And so I get some ideas. I write down some booth numbers of like, hey, they have this kind of stuff, or these are good prices. And so I kind of make some notes before I get there. There's nothing worse than like, oh, I spent, $100 on this booth for this comic that I want, and then you go to another booth and you see the same book, maybe in better condition for $50, and you're like, oh man, oh well, buyer's remorse, right? So I try to get if there's specifically some books that I'm looking after, I might try to see, make sure that that's kind of the best deal there, or I mean, you could potentially say, hey, this other booth has this for blah blah blah. Would you match that? If I want to buy from you. Um, Another thing with buying comics, I definitely think is a good deal or a good way of dealing with dealers is if you have a little stack. So if you have like, hey, I have these 8 books here. They total $100. They are probably more willing to work with you on that because you're buying multiple things from them. Also, dealers have in mind probably what they spent on those books to get them. Some have some wiggle room on them, some do not have as much wiggle room on them. And so they'll hopefully be honest about that and kind of say, okay, yeah. With that in mind, another thing that you can do at cons is trade. I have found Fridays are actually a pretty good day to try to trade a value of comics with a dealer because they're trying to get just set up for the weekend And sometimes you can make some really good deals where some people might match you with a better price or give you a better price for those compared to like at the end of the con, because then it's like you're giving them extra stock that they have to lug back that they haven't had a chance to sell and price. So I have found, I'll give you a perfect example. I had a first appearance of Spider-Gwen. Now, I'm not a big Spider-Gwen fan, but I happened to have the first issue. I didn't even realize I had it in my comic collection until I was like flipping through some stuff, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize I have this. That's cool." So this was trade bait for me to take. So I mean, it was perfect copy, definite 9/8 candidate, and I brought it with me, and I found a dealer on the Friday. He had a couple of them already, but he had there was a Fantastic Four number 13, which is first appearance of the Watcher, um, and he had a copy of that that was priced about the price of what the Spider-Gwen would be. So it wasn't in the best shape, but it was still, a decently shaped book, and the value was about what I had in this one book. So I talked to the dealer and I said, "Hey, I have this. You have that book. Would you want to do a trade?" And he was like, "Huh, that's interesting." And I kind of played it up a little bit. I was like, look, this was on the Friday. I was like, look, tomorrow, Saturday, you're going to see all these people coming to the con in their Spider-Gwen onesies, and they're going to want to buy the first appearance of Spider-Gwen. And I said, how many people are actually going to be asking for this Fantastic Four 13? Like, you're not going to get that many people asking about that, but you can move these Spider-Gwens here at this con or at another con all day long. You know you can. And he was like, yeah, you got a really good point about that. So he was like, hey, we'll just do an equal trade. I let him look at the book. He was like, yeah, you're completely right. This is definitely a 9/8, if not higher, if there would be a higher. But he's like, yeah, I'll do that trade all day because he probably didn't have a lot invested into that Fantastic Four 13. He knew that. He knew he could make some more money, make quicker money off of flipping that Spider-Gwen than he could the first Watcher. So, you kind of have to find some dealers out there that are willing to do that kind of thing. But I found like Friday's a little bit better to do that with. So um, that's a little bit of about some tips and things like that for planning for a con, specifically for Heroes Con. Um, if you're planning on coming to Heroes Con, I definitely would love to meet you. Come say hey if you happen to see this crazy old dude sitting on a chair on the floor. Feel free to come say hello. I'm very excited. So since I started this YouTube channel like a little over a year ago, um, I, I've only met a couple of people in the YouTube community, uh, since I started that. So I met Christina Payne, which was awesome. She lives like 45 minutes away from me, which was cool. I met her in person one time, and I met Lunch Money Mike at a brewery one time that we got together. So that was great. But I haven't met a lot of the YouTube community. So I've seen them all from, like chest up like everybody else, but I haven't seen, gotten to meet or hang out with some people. So I'm very excited about that. So I know, just to, like I mentioned, Johnny from Johnny's Comic Stuff, we're going to be staying at an Airbnb together. So I'm really excited about, spending some good time and a lot of time with Johnny. That'll be great. But there's a lot of other people that JSS, the Blue Wrench winner of the Comic Book Community Awards last year, he will be there. I'm looking forward to seeing him. Alex, the longest cosplayers. There's comic collector coach Doug. There's Matt from Impressed. There's Jeff from Outer Worlds Comics. There is Izzy's verse and Roscoe are actually tabling there. That'll be kind of cool to see them. And the Godfather, Brian LCS, is going to be there as well. So there's a lot of people that I'm looking forward to kind of seeing, getting to chat with. Digger Jim, he's one I've talked to a few times, but never run into him in person. So there's a lot of people that I'm looking forward to meeting with, and so there'll be some opportunities to hang out, talk in line, meet up after the show, do some different things like that. Now, in terms of outside of Heroes Con, outside of the window of the con, there are some cool things going on. So on the Thursday night, I have tickets for Felix Liu, who does Felix comic art. He is an art agent for a lot of different artists, including Daniel Warren Johnson that I mentioned earlier, but also Nick Dragata, Sanford Green, some different people like that. Uh, he is hosting a movie somewhere. It's at a theater, and he's gonna play some old movie, and so you could like say, "Hey, put me on the list. I'd love to go see this." So a few of us I know are going to that Thursday night movie, which will be pretty fun. I am also Friday after the con at Heroes. There is drink and draw. So what that is Heroes does a lot of money to raise money for Parkinson's research, the Michael J. Fox Foundation. And so they have a charity event where this is held after hours at the con, where anybody can draw on these like coasters that they make. Uh, and you can draw on the coaster. They'll put it up on the table for what they think it would be worth and go for. You can buy coasters. They also have original art that's up there. People have contributed different things, and they'll put a price on that, and people will buy those different things to all go for that. It's a fun time. Sometimes there's some big creators that actually even come there and set up at a table and start drawing things, and you get to kind of hang out with them a little bit. But it's a great place to find some cheaper art than sometimes what you would find on the tables at the different booths and that type of thing. So there is that Friday night, and then Saturday night there is an original art auction. So there are creators that will do something at Heroes Con, or they will have brought something with them to donate to this. Also, same fundraiser for the same charity. They do a bigger art auction with some, I mean, it's some usually high ticketed items there, but there is an art auction on the Saturday night. Not sure if I will attend that or not because I know I won't have the money to spend on anything, but sometimes it's kind of cool to see some of the stuff and see what it would go for. So those are a few of the big events that are going on there. But I'm probably planning on, some of the people that will be at the con, see what we will do and try to figure out like, hey, do you want to hang out like after the con or do whatever? And we'll figure that out. So I'm very excited about being able to meet a whole bunch of people in the community. And there are some things I will be handing out at the con for some of the people that are in the YouTube community that do have channels or not. That I have some art pieces that I'll be handing out to some of them just in appreciation. So, anyway, but if I see you at the con, please say hello. Love to see you. Thanks so much for watching. I'm going to try to wrap this up. I know I've been rambling for a while, but I want to make sure I keep this as brief as I possibly can. So, good luck if you're going to Heroes. I look forward to hopefully seeing you all. If not, hopefully some of these tips might have sparked something in your mind about what you might like to do at a con. Please leave a message or comment about something or ideas that you have, tips for people going to cons. What are some little hidden secrets that you like to do that I didn't touch on? Feel free to share if you're willing to share. Sometimes people like to keep their secrets to themselves. But anyway, hope everybody's doing wonderful out there. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you flip through a floppy, and I will check you all out on the next show that I do. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.